We are not even halfway through the year of 2025, and we are getting some absolute bangers when it comes to video games at the moment, where I'm even struggling to keep up when it comes to playing them. Now, I just wanted to make a point before I glaze Oblivion for the rest of the video. That point being that even if a game is on Game Pass, Steam's database is still a good tool to gauge how a game is performing on the market. Look at how some people reacted when Avowed came out, and there was individuals, myself included, that pointed out the stinker of a player count the game had on Steam. Now, the counter argument was, actually, since the game is on Game Pass, that's where a good chunk of the players will play it from, since it's essentially free, or whatever the fuck they say, right? And thankfully now, we have been blessed with not only Oblivion that came out on Game Pass day one, but also Expedition 33, which did the exact same thing, and the Steam numbers are dramatically different, dude. It's insane how different they are. So I just wanted to point that out, since there will always be people who throw out that argument when a game that's on Game Pass doesn't perform well on Steam, and obviously that's not the case, and I just wanted to, you know, get that little tidbit out there before we start. This game essentially hooked me pretty much as soon as I opened it. Seeing just the Oblivion logo and then the night in the middle and the music roll in, I was just sitting there with my hands up, and I just knew I was in for a good time. Granted, technically this is my second playthrough of this game. I can even show you guys my first playthrough when I was like 8, and I can just tell you guys right now, I played that game when I had a slightly less developed brain. So this is pretty much how my first playthrough went. I don't think I even made it to a major city when I played on the 360. Now, fast forward to today, and now that I know what's going on in this world, I'm pretty much hooked, man. Right from the get-go, when you're told in the prison cell that the Emperor has you in his dreams and sees you all the time, to then following him through the prisons underground, and then watching him get murdered all in the span of 15 minutes was pretty insane. Now, you're given the Amulet of Kings and given your quest to find the Emperor's secret son and have him save the lands from the Hellspawn that started wandering in through these Oblivion gates. So I took that information, and the second I was out of the prison tunnels, I pretty much immediately forgot my task and started wandering around. One of the first quest lines I did was get myself into the Mages Guild, since I went with the Spellsword class and I needed to get my wizard rep up before I started to help save the world. But even then, I deviated away from the Mages Guild quest many times while I was getting my recommendations from every town, and ended up talking to other NPCs and having them give me side quests that I would go do. So I've been pretty immersed in this game, the same way I was when I played Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. The NPCs have goofy interactions with each other that's fun to listen to, and even some of the side quests given are pretty silly. I remember I had this one side quest where I talked to this woman who was asking me to help look for her husband who went missing. She told me that he was an artist who pretty much only stays in his studio painting. So I went into his studio, and I was given an option to enter this painting realm on like some Super Mario 64 shit, and it was fun, man. It was great. I went into his painting and found the husband, who told me his brush has this power to make portals into canvases and paint within it, and some thief stole it and he's been unable to leave. So I walk around and I help him kill some trolls and find the thief who, you know, stole his brush and recover it. And that was it. You know, short side quest, but it was fun. It was cool. It was different. You know, you go into a painting, the whole art style changes. It's more of like this painted, like oily kind of like look to it, and it was great, man. I really enjoyed it. A lot of these side quests are just extremely fun. They're just fun to do. They have their own little stories, and you get hooked on it, and you're trying to help people or trying to do right for somebody and stuff like that. Some of them were really silly and goofy, and then some of them are your standard, you know, medieval fantasy RPG side quest. But for the most part, a lot of them are decently fun. I haven't complained about doing side quests. I still actively look for people to talk to get other side quests through my playthrough so far. You know, granted, I've only done around 70 quests total, so I'm not entirely deep in the game, but from what I've experienced so far, it's been a lot of fun, and a lot of the dialogue and stuff like that has been enjoyable to listen and read. But quest lines aside, there's just a lot of things to find in general in this game. You know, a little later in my playthrough, I cleared an Oblivion gate, and I walked by this bridge that had a corpse underneath it, so I walked up and I looted it. And after I looted it, there was this note about a troll who wasn't scary enough to have people pay the toll on the bridge, and then he ended up just getting extremely drunk and ending his own life, which was, you know, a little sad, but it was funny in its own way. And little things like that that you find, you know, I've heard there's a lot of Easter eggs to find in this game as well. There's like a shield that's a reference to Legend of Zelda called the Mirror Shield or something like that that reflects spells. And you know, a whole bunch of just little things like that that's scattered around this game that I've, you know, been walking around and finding. Some of them I haven't found, but, you know, there's tons of them, so it's going to take me a long time to find things like that. But just the process of exploration and finding things on your own and having these little moments when you find something and it's either funny or it's sad or, you know, stuff like that. It's just great. Overall, just the world in itself is just fun to be in and to play in. And that is something that I think lacks in a lot of these newer RPG games where there's not a lot of life. Oblivion has a lot of life despite it being extremely like buggy and goofy, and a lot of the dialogue from the NPCs doesn't necessarily make sense, and sometimes they get cut off because certain actions are being taken. And, you know, but it has its own charm, and it's just so fun to just play, man. I don't really know what else to say. It's fun, you know? And from my understanding, the devs used, and I could be wrong, you know, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but from my understanding, the devs used the core engine of Oblivion that the game was built on, and then added Unreal Engine 5 to give it like that modern look. You know, they had like some changes with the combat animations from what I understand, and enemies responding to hits instead of just standing there and just taking it, essentially. You know, since I don't have a lot to compare the two games, you know, I do have to resort to others online who have played the first one to a great extent. And from what I've read, you know, a lot of people say this game is pretty much the same silly game that it was 20 years ago, just with a new coat of paint and some modernization to the systems and animations and stuff like that. So from my understanding, it's as close as you're going to get to an Oblivion experience, just with prettier looks and better looking animations and stuff like that. But, you know, I've been loving the game, and there's still a lot I've yet to do. I've heard the Shadow Isles DLC is great. I've already completed the Crusader questline where you go collecting those relics and reestablishing the Knights of the Nine, which was pretty fun. Now that, you know, when I walk around cities, the NPCs greet me as like Sir Knight and praise me for bringing back this holy order, which is cool to see them react to, kind of that cause and effect. You know, you restore this order, you do this whole questline, and now NPCs have this entirely new level of dialogue when they talk to you, which is not anything innovative. I mean, for the time, it was probably innovative, but, you know, we've kind of gotten used to NPCs reacting in certain ways, you know, the player actions and stuff like that, but it's still cool to see in a game like Oblivion. But, you know, I don't know, man. I'm not too big of a fan of when it comes to remasters, but I feel like with how the space is recently and with everything going on, I feel like this game was pretty needed for everyone to play and enjoy. You know, people who've played the original Oblivion and new players like myself who maybe have stepped into the world of Elder Scrolls through Skyrim, or they played Oblivion for a little bit, but that was when they didn't have a fully functioning brain yet. I just think it's a good game that everyone should be playing. It's a fantastic RPG with a lot going on and a lot to do. It tells a great story. You know, there's a whole bunch of fun things to discover, and it's just overall just a fun, silly game. But at times, you know, you get immersed where you're like locked in with the story, and at other times you're just like having a good laugh. I don't know, man. I'm loving it. I just wanted to make this quick, short video just to express how much I've been enjoying the game so far. Pretty much after I'm done editing this video, I'm gonna go right back to playing it. You know, I just wanted to express how much I've been enjoying it, and I wanted to share it with you guys. I will say my one request for the modding community is to add a cigarette mod. Like, I'm talking about that hell yeah meme that's been going around, and I know the guy's making like a hell yeah simulator. I want to be able to clear dungeons while holding a ciggy in my left hand and like my longsword in my right hand. I don't know how hard that will be, or if it's even possible. It's probably possible. Modders do insane work. But that's the one mod. If I could ask for one mod from the modding community, that is the one mod I would have enabled pretty much 24/7 while I played this game. Either have like a cigarette in my hand or like a pack of cigarettes with a cigarette at the same time, just in my left hand at all times. Every time I pull up my sword, I just have that as well. But overall, man, I've been enjoying the game. It's been a blast, and I'm going to play a lot more of it. I still have a lot to do. I do have to also hop on Expedition 33. I've heard that game is extremely fun and good, like more on the good side, like just a really well-written story with a whole bunch of great actors that are involved with the game and stuff like that. And it's just a fun take on a turn-based game. I've seen, you know, like the parry mechanics and all that kind of stuff. So it seems fun. I definitely have to play it, but I have a lot on my plate. I have Oblivion. I still got to play through this game. I'm having a blast. The Monster Hunter stuff came out. I'm pretty sure by the time I'm recording this video, Arc Tempered Raid Out either comes out today or early tomorrow or something like that. But nonetheless, you know, a lot of good games coming out, man. This year is going to be fantastic for gaming. I can already tell with all the bangers we've had so far. I can just tell we're going to get a lot more just from the little ones that we see. Maybe some ones that we don't even know about yet might drop like Oblivion did. I mean, well, Oblivion was leaked. We kind of knew about it, but anyways, that's pretty much all I had to say about the game so far. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the video, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Peace!